It's Monday. Thanks for joining me for another Market Monday. I have to ask you a question. What the hell happened in January? It's the last day. January's over already. I can't even believe it. Let's start by talking about Bluffton. We brought 23 new listings on the market this week. Last week, only 11. By comparison, this week last year, 59. Significant decrease in inventory, as you can see. The year-to-date numbers are the ones I want to pay the most attention to. 92 so far this year, and at this point last year, 179. Roughly half, right? Roughly half. How does that affect sales? So sales, we had 16 closed sales this week. Last week, we had 13, and this week last year, we had 38. The year-to-date, again, the year-to-date numbers are the ones that I'm most interested. 116 so far this year, and at this point last year, 129. So just 10%. So if you're worried about the market, I think this is good news for Bluffton, right? Inventory's down by almost 50%, but sales are down just 10%. That's a pretty strong market. That's a pretty strong market. Now, we can see, what's the future hold for Bluffton? Well, we can see that with the pending sales. We had 29 properties go under contract this week. We had 26 last week, and at this week last year, we had 38. But again, I want to focus on the year-to-date numbers. 115 so far this year compared to 165 last year. So this is off 30%. So what this tells me is most likely that difference of roughly 50% on the inventory side and 10% on the sales side is going to moderate a little bit. Those sales are going to come down. It's not going to be only a 10% decline. It might be a 20 or 25% decline, because chances of every single pending transaction moving to closing, stuff happens. So good news for Bluffton. The market looks really strong. This is representative by these prices. The average selling price in Bluffton right now, $727,000. The average selling price. That's insane. At this point last year, the average selling price was $504,000. 44% increase year over year. Now, I think we probably had a couple big sales early on that have pushed that number up. I don't think Bluffton's appreciated quite at 44%, but is it above 20%? You bet it is. You bet it is. And finally, cumulative days on the market, 57 is the average amount of days that it takes to sell a property that you bring onto the market in the town of Bluffton. And at this point last year, that number was 110,000. So that's it for Bluffton. What do we have next? I think it is, it's Port Royal Plantation. So with Port Royal, and then after Port Royal, we're going to look at Long Cove. We're just going to look at year-to-date numbers just to keep things moving along. So far this year, we've had 2 properties come on the market in Port Royal, and at this point last year, we had 4. So half the new inventory coming on. Sales, 5 sales so far this year, and at this point last year, 5 sales. Well, that's pretty good. Half the inventory and the same amount of sales. We'll take that every time. That's an indication of prices going way up. The future of sales are the pendings. We've had 3 properties go under contract so far this year, and at this point last year, we were at 9. So you can see that disparity that we have that plays in our favor, more sales than listings, is going to shrink, just like we talked about in Bluffton. But the numbers are still good. And these numbers really affect the average selling price. Average selling price in Port Royal is up to just a little over $1 million. And at this point last year, that number was just under $700,000 at $693, a 49% increase in the average selling price. If you want to buy a property in Port Royal, in the community of Port Royal on Hilton Head Island, and days on the market, 13. 13. If you're interested in buying property in Port Royal, do not blink. You will miss it. And at this point last year, that was 103. Let's take out the 0. 13. That's the smallest days on the market that I've seen on Hilton Head so far. Now, if you're interested in Long Cove, this is the time you've been waiting for. Long Cove, new inventory. So far this year, we've had 5. At this point last year, we had 5. The sales, 2 this year so far. At this point last year, we had 5. There's lots of 5s in Long Cove. I don't know what it was. 5. The pendings, 5. At this point last year, we had 5. Good news is the average selling price is higher than 5. It's $775,000 at this point this year. And at this point last year, the average selling price in Long Cove was $677,000, 14% increase. I think it's actually more than that. But again, we're only talking about the first month of the year. So as we get a couple months in, I think you'll see this number creep up more towards the 20s, because that's what we've been seeing across the board. And I just don't think Long Cove is really any different than anywhere else right now. Cumulative days on the market for Long Cove, 48, nothing to sneeze at. That's really great. And at this point last year, we were at 68. So if you're interested in Hilton Head Island, this is the time we talk about it, only after I ask you to follow us on all of our social media, including Instagram. You get to see guys like Ron here. Ron's a pretty cool guy. He's a lot of fun to follow on social media, and I encourage you to follow us and follow Ron. You're welcome, Ron. So Hilton Head Island, let's talk about Hilton Head Island. We always start with inventory. 41 properties came on the market this week. Last week it was 33. In this same week last year, 77. The year-to-date inventory, 174 properties have come on the market so far this year. And on this date last year, we're at 263, 34% decrease in inventory. The sales, we had 40 sales this week. Last week we reported 28, and this week last year we were at 66, 39% increase. 39% sounds familiar to me. If you're paying attention, you'll remember that number from the inventory. The year-to-date sales, 173 sales so far this year compared to 234 through this date last year, 26% decrease in sales. So 39% decrease in inventory, 26% increase in sales. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. You worry if your sales are dropping more than your inventory. That's the sign that the market could be moving in not such a positive direction. But those ratios, as long as you're maintaining those ratios between sales and inventory, you're good to go. Pending, under contracts. These are the numbers that will influence our sales here in the next 4 to 6, 8 weeks. 59 properties went under contract this week. Last week it was 60, and this week last year is 93, 37%. So you'll see that that'll push that sales number down a little bit, potentially. The year-to-date pending, 229 properties have gone under contract on Hilton Head Island so far in 2022. And on this date last year, we were sitting at 310, 26% change year over year. What about sales price? It's up to $760,000 on Hilton Head Island. And at this point last year, it was $574,000, 32% increase in the average sale price. That might be a real number. That might be a real number. And if it is, we're looking at the best or the highest increase year over year average selling price increase in the history of the island, at least that I've ever seen it. But it's no surprise. I've never seen inventory this low, right? Now sales are down compared to last year, but inventory is down even more. And that's the message I want you to take away today. Those people that are saying the market's gonna go in the other direction, you'll know it here first, because we're going to talk about inventory going up. That will be the precursor for this market to move in the wrong direction. And if you come week in, week out, we'll be the first to talk about it. I promise you that. And then we always finish up with cumulative days on the market, the amount of time it takes to sell a property on Hilton Head Island. That number is down to 37 days. That's amazing. And at this point last year, the market was on fire and it was 61 days. So that's it. The last day of January,